You guys pick them, I play them. Ben vs. Games. Some of the best games ever created came from the 8-bit and 16-bit generations. One such game that will never find its way on any best list is The Lion King for Super Nintendo. I'm getting ahead of myself. The concept of this video is easy. I had you guys submit the hardest, most frustrating, downright horrible games from the NES, Super NES, and Sega Genesis. The list consisted of about 20 games, was voted upon, you guys chose one for each system. I then play each game to the best of my abilities and record a silly little video around my journey. So the first game that I was lucky enough to play was The Lion King for Super Nintendo. Being the system I played the most growing up, I figured it'd be the easiest choice to start with. God, I hate being wrong. The Lion King was released for Genesis and Super Nintendo in 1994. It's mainly platform based off of, you guessed it, the Disney movie, and surprisingly follows the same general storyline, which doesn't really happen in a lot of games. So at least that part's cool. This game's for idiots.
It starts.
The first level, as you were jumping on bugs, just like in the movie, and trying to grab onto ledges, you realize that you are in for a very unfun time. Making your way to the top of the rock formation, collecting bugs, and also killing bugs, you make your way to the hyena, and it attacks you, and then gets tired, and then you win. Then your dad comes in a cutscene, and you're on your way to the next level. Roar with the monkeys. The music is nice. That's it. You have to figure out which obstacle is a platform, and which is part of the background. Now here's a hint for you, it's yes, just yes to everything. You're on the back of an ostrich and jumping and ducking and double jumping and flipping and all just reference of this arrow. Then you make it to the other side and swing from hippo tails, which are horribly out of time, which is annoying because you have to be so precise to grab it. Then you are back on the goddamn ostrich, running and jumping over things. This time, there's no arrow reference and you will die. For me, it was about 35 times. I don't know why it's pink, but it is. And then you go back through the motions of trying to figure out what this game is trying to tell you. Eventually, you make it through. And yes, you get back to those damn monkeys from the beginning. It's like there was a quota on how long this level had to be, and then they put that information aside and made it longer. It's something you never figure out because you have to dance all around to get it done. I had to look it up. I had to cheat. I am a cheater. So once you've gotten all that done, you finally beat the level. But end up in the next part of the motion picture, surrounded by 100 hyenas, which in case you didn't remember was the boss from the first level. So now you have a level full of bosses, if that makes any sense. The platforming in this level is sketchy and unpredictable. It's hard to land the landings, and once you've mastered that, there's a damn bird that comes out of nowhere and kills you in a few hits if you're not careful, and it's impossible to figure out the platforming in the meantime. Is this the worst part, Ben? No, there are more hyenas and birds at the same time that are trying to kill you. You can get more power-ups, but why would it matter? Anything is just a little health boost. It's not that there's some sort of added benefit to going for the gold. You get an extra life, so you'll just die immediately trying to get it. So, full disclosure, I use cheat mode for this game. It's some kind of cheat. You type in the beginning, makes you invincible. Know that, but you know what that means? Nothing. Because everything's a platforming thing. It makes the enemies can't hurt you, that's great, but 90% of the things that kill you are pitfalls. It was ridiculous. Next level, you're in a stampede. This was actually pretty fun. You're running from the saddest part in the movie, and you have to go from side to side, jump and avoid all this kind of stuff. It's a challenge, but it's a little change of pace from what it was. The graphics are pretty sweet. There wasn't really a pattern that I could get, but I think I lived through the whole first try. So, good for me. On to the next level, known as the level that makes me drink. You're running through the desert jungle and that's all fine, but there are boulders that follow you and kill you with one hit. And they're as fast as you, and if you miss one move along the way, it gets you. And if you don't know how to kill an enemy while running at full sprint, it kills you. And that is only one part of the level. Remember how I told you how well designed these platform jumps were? No, that's right, I didn't, because it's not easy. There's no level of frustration that explains how much I want to throw the controller at the end. I died a lot in this level. I mean a lot. At one point I stopped and I just stared at the wall and the wall stared back. The cutscene at the end is pretty cool, so. This next level is another fave. It's got good music and it's nice setup, nice platformer. But for some reason I could not get up this GD waterfall to save my damn life. Literally the worst experience of my life. Here's a sped up version of a couple attempts in the waterfall. Enjoy this. For some reason I could not get the cadence. It took me days. So after the waterfall, you're not done. There's some weird spiders, and then you do some more jumps, and then you make it to the monkey or an orangutan, and it tries to bamboozle. There's some kind of thing with a coconut. You gotta figure it out. You gotta aggravate him up a hill. I don't know. Seriously, who designed this game? But it does end with the cool cutscenes. Whatever. Next level. Next level, you're grown into a lion, and you are happy about it. You can now affect the rest of the environment Not just hop on things. You have to show your worth and smack the shit out of a whole bunch of monkeys and cougars, jaguars, whatever they are. But they never die. You smack them for 3 days and they're still, oh, pop back up, pop back up, pop back up. There we go. And that damn boulder's back again. If you even nudge it, it kills you. How many people have been killed by touching a rock, I ask? Well, okay. Well, this is the part of the movie when you're trying to find some understanding on life, I think. It's dark and you're running around thorns and such. A lot. Minding your own business. I remember only Scar and the hyenas being the enemies in this movie. I don't get the rest of it. Is this a mix of Jungle Book and Tarzan? Sure, why not? This level isn't horrible. There's lots of, let's figure this out, and why is that thing hurting me? I've realized that every single jump in this game that you have to take is to the fullest extent. There's no like light jumps or small pitfalls. It's all a gigantic leap. Most times you get it. Did they not see any other video games ever? Jump here, smack some leopards, jump here, scratch a boulder and jump here and scratch some leopards. Then the coolest thing in gaming history, the clouds shift and it is awesome. Then you're right in the pits of hell. Again, like the movie, it's a lava level with dozens of hyenas and leopards running around like fools, and you have to kill them all, avoiding the lava. Then you have to figure out how to slap the stalagmites to get them to fall through the floor to give you access to the tiny little platform in the lava below. Once you find that platform, several bats will push you off of it, leading to an insta-death. Can games stop using frickin' bats as enemies? They're always stupid. Oh yeah, and when was there lava in The Lion King? All the jumps are impossible. You have to risk so much just making a jump, and then you land on a ledge where there are leopards on the edge of it, and they knock you off. This is the worst part of any game I've ever played. When you're trying to jump, and if you miss, you're dead, and you grab the ledge, and you bounce off an enemy. And then this is the part where shit starts coming from the ceiling, and also from the floor, where things were previously coming from. So you're on a platform, and the rocks are falling, and you have to wait for them to fall, or at the platform until it gets covered, because the things are falling, because they're scared. Maybe it's vibrations, but isn't it? You're in a volcano or hell, I don't know. I don't know. Then for some reason you get launched into the stratosphere. The end. Why does this happen? Why does this happen? Next level. The Maze from Hell. Some games have really crappy opening levels, and some games have really crappy closing levels, and the rest are pretty great, and you have to keep in the mood for fun. Not this one, not this game. Your goal is to explore a huge chain of hyena caves, who knew those existed, and work your way through to the end. But the hyenas respawn every time you go off screen, and there's no indication where you have to go, so you just get lucky, or waste your time, waste your evening, waste your life, you rethink, you go back to school, you call your family, The only way to do is you look up a walkthrough and get it figured out. You know what I did? I looked at YouTube, bitches. I looked at a YouTube video, figured it out. Okay, you happy? Next is another level. You fight Scar. It's the first time you interact with him, and you do it immediately into the level. He says howdy to you, and you swat at him until he's tickled off enough to run away. Then you go back to more of those stupid things that happen 95% of the frickin' levels before. You jump on some bad platforms. You swat some horrible hyenas. You swing some stupid rocks. The new part, though, is that there's lightning. I like lightning. I'm cool with the effect. I'll get on board. Other than that, it sucks. A short while later, you fight Scar again. Guess what? He doesn't die. No, there's more platforming. He runs off. And you have this whole indication early on in this fight because you see platforms taunting you in the background the whole time as you swat at him endlessly. Then he jumps away and you go back to beating the shit out of hyenas. Up and up you climb until you reach him again. This time, it's for all the marbles. Swat, 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 swat. Swat, 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 at his face, at his arms, at his face again. Lots of times you look ridiculous. I don't even know what you're supposed to do here. I don't even know how the gauge works. This is the end of the game. I have no idea what this energy bar thing. Eventually, and I mean that over the span of 10 minutes, he finally dies, and you throw him over the edge. Actually, you have to figure that out. A move this you've had this entire time, you finally get to use. You throw him into the fire and lightning, you melt the lion. Gotta love Disney. It's a pretty cool transition from there. The background changes, and it shows you the same cutscene from level 1 earlier. Simba basks in the sun, and I begin crying because I have no more patience because of this damn game. It even says the intro line again.
Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
That's a little dig, one little salt in the wound. So here are my final thoughts. The game, though challenging, is a good platformer. It has a good amount of challenges. It switches up the obstacles so you don't just jump at full speed to get through the level. I think most people do that when it comes to platformers. The gold standard, of course, is Super Mario, and if you master it, it's a breeze to get through. This one is not one of those. It's not a bad thing, but it distracts, especially when you mix that in the aspect of all the enemies that are frustrating, that there's really no gratification for any one thing you do. The gameplay repeats too broadly, and the enemies don't change. I grew up with a good split of RPGs and platformers, with RPGs making it my top 2 favorite games, but I've always had an affinity for games that you need to react quick with. I'd give it a 6 for overall game. The graphics were standard for the time. The cutscenes were boring, but they existed, so that's something. The music was very 16-bit, but followed the movie, which was refreshing, and the controls were sketchy at times. If you haven't played it yet, don't do it. It's not worth the frustration. Play something else. Play something that'll make you feel good you beat, like Contra, or Paddleball, or Solitaire, or just stare at a wall, or, Anyway, hope you enjoyed watching me struggle through a crappy game. I wonder what the next contender will be. Find out next time. I'm Ben Sliwa, and this is Ben vs. Games. Later days, guys.